You've been told if you keep your head down, work hard, and prove yourself, recognition, promotions, and opportunities will come. But let's be honest, that's just not true. This is Lead Without Limits, a podcast for professionals in multifamily and beyond who are ready to stop second-guessing themselves. Because leadership isn't just about titles or tactical skills. Yes, we'll cover those here, but real leadership starts from within. It's about changing the beliefs and behaviors that have kept you playing small and rewiring the thought patterns holding you back. I'm Shanenn Bryant, a confidence and pattern expert, and this is the space where we talk real growth, real change, and maybe have a little workday humor along the way. This episode is brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network, delivering the latest news, ideas, and inspiration across the multifamily sector. If you're ready to lead without fear, lead without doubt, and lead without limits, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
You don't need another leadership book. You don't need more hustle. You don't need a new planner, another certificate, 5 more bullet points in your performance review. None of that is going to take you where you want to go if deep down you still don't believe you belong there. That is what this show is here to shift. Hi, I'm Shanenn Bryant, a confidence and pattern expert, and this is Lead Without Limits, a podcast for those in multifamily and beyond who are ready to stop leading from self-doubt and start leading from self-trust. Because what's really holding you back, it's not your boss, it's not your resume, it's not your relationship, your workload, your lack of time, it's your programming. The subconscious stuff you've been carrying for years, stuff you probably didn't even choose. You were taught to work hard, be humble, stay small, keep people comfortable, be liked. And now you're stuck in a loop where you know you're ready, you know you're meant for more, but there's this voice underneath that says, you're not smart enough. You're not strong enough. You're too emotional. You're not ready yet. You'll mess it up. You're not enough. And the part that's the hardest to admit, you believe it. Because it's been running in the background on autopilot for so long, it feels true. And this podcast is where we start to call that out and replace it with something real. Not fake confidence, not performance, just you getting clear on who you are without all the noise. This podcast is built around a framework that I teach in my keynote and coaching work. I call it Pattern to Power framework, and it's made up of 5 foundational shifts, these core transformations that happen when you stop leading from this programming and start leading from belief. These foundational shifts are going to show up a lot in our conversations here in the podcast. So I wanted to run through them real quick to get you familiar with them. And the first one, the first foundational shift is believe. What you believe about yourself. This is where we uncover the identity level beliefs that have shaped how you see yourself and what you believe you deserve. So these are things that are going to sound like, I'm too emotional. I don't want to be seen as difficult, or if I speak up, I'll be judged. Some of these are from childhood, some from culture, some from moments in your life that maybe just left a deeper impact than what you realized. But when we don't question them, we live inside them. And so here, we're going to start waking them up. The second foundational shift is become, who you're stepping into. This is about shifting your identity, not performing a new version of yourself, but really aligning the version that's been buried underneath years of expectations and fear. So we're not adding something new. We're remembering who you were before you were told who you had to be. This shift allows you to stop abandoning yourself to meet the moment and start meeting the moment as yourself. The third one is behavior, what you do consistently. Confidence doesn't come first, it comes from action. Confidence shows up when you do, but not performative action, not like look at me action. We're talking about micro actions, these quiet, strong decisions that you're going to make over and over to reinforce self-trust. This is about small moves rooted in clarity, not fear. The fourth one, this one's a hard one for us, boundaries. This is what we will allow or no longer tolerate. Boundaries aren't about being hard. They're about being honest. Boundaries don't make you difficult. They make you dynamic. When you honor your boundaries, you're not pushing people away. You're making space for yourself to stay in integrity. The fifth and final foundational shift is bounce back. And this may be the most hardest one for most of us to do. It's how you recover, you respond, and you reframe. This is where we stop letting a mistake become a meaning. Instead of making every setback personal, we slow it down, observe it, and decide what's actually true. These foundational shifts aren't just ideas, they're patterns, and we'll explore them from all different angles in every episode. So you can really start to identify with some of these and start to figure out which ones might need a little tweaking or rewiring. I hope that gives you a great idea of some of the kinds of things that we'll be talking about here on this podcast. And of course, we'll also have some very specific tactical leadership skills and a whole lot of fun sprinkled in along the way. I wanted to take a slightly different approach to the topic of leadership because in my coaching practice with one-on-one clients, I see this all the time, people trying to shift their results without shifting the patterns that created them. Our beliefs drive all of our behaviors. Trying to feel more confident while you're still playing out the exact same loops that created insecurity, you can't outwork a belief system that's rooted in fear. You have to update the system itself. You have to update these patterns. When I was somewhere around 5 or 6, I had this really long, thick hair that my mom had been growing my entire life, but I hated it. I hated having to get it brushed every day, washing it, drying it. It took forever. It was consistently in my way. One summer day, my mom was at work and I had a babysitter. I was playing outside with my friends. It was so hot out. My hair was constantly getting in the way. It felt gross. It was super sweaty. It was sticking to me. I was over it. So I told my friends, I'll be right back. I went inside and I slowly crept down the hall into the bathroom. I could hear my babysitter watching TV in the living room, but I grabbed the scissors and I hid them under my shirt, ran outside around the corner and started to cut off all of my hair. I mean, it was an inch or two long all over my head. I just put the scissors right up to my scalp and just cut, like straight across, no mirror, no game plan, just me handling my business. I didn't care. I was hot. I was tired of it and I wanted it gone. What I didn't think about at 5 or 6 was that my mom had family portraits planned the next night. And depending on your age, you might remember the old, like Olin Mills. That was the fancy, somewhat expensive place to get family portraits done way back then. So it was a pretty big deal. We also had a family vacation planned to Florida. If you're watching this over on YouTube, you can see the picture of me with that haircut. And I believe that was even after a few weeks of it growing out. As you can imagine, my mom was horrified. I also didn't consider the consequences to my poor babysitter. I never did see her again. But I wasn't thinking about all that. In that moment, I wasn't worried about what I looked like or who would be mad at me. I just met my own needs. And that's something so many of us stop doing. And of course, this story might sound small, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't consider the consequences, but it captures something that we're going to talk a lot about here on the podcast. How often do we stop ourselves from doing what we need, what we want, what feels good to us? because we're so focused on how it's going to be received because of the fear of what might happen, the unknown, the stories that we tell ourselves. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. What will they think of me? That's pattern. That's programming. And that's what this podcast is here to help you shift. If something in this episode hit home, go ahead, listen to the next episodes. They're already live. In episode 2, I sit down and talk with Dr. Lois Frankel, author of Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office. And we dive into the mistakes that women make in the workplace, including one where she says, don't be such a girl. Excuse me, ma'am, but it's not what you think. And I do want to say, don't let the title fool you. These mistakes are made by both men and women across the board. These are the mistakes that we're all making in the workplace. So thanks for being here with me. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to never miss an episode so you can lead without fear, lead without doubt, and lead without limits.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead Without Limits and investing in what matters, you. If you found this episode valuable, please share it with a friend or colleague who might benefit as well. This podcast is brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network, your trusted source for stories, trends, and insights in multifamily living. I hope this moved you one step closer to lead without fear, lead without doubt, and lead without limits.